Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric, and happy day before Halloween, also known as Mischief Night, Devil's Night, Gate Night, Goosey Night, Moving Night, Cabbage Night, and Mat Night. What a mouthful, but nonetheless, to celebrate Halloween preemptively, before tomorrow's Kings Island Night Ride ranking to go with the holiday, let's talk about something everyone associates with Halloween. Bats. Specifically, ranking every Six Flags Batman the Ride clone. Before we get to the ranking, I must make clear, I will be ranking only the 8 that are at Six Flags parks and were made by Bolliger Mabillard. So no Six Flags Mexico one, no Great White at SeaWorld San Antonio, and none of the other clones that are found around the world. Just the 8 that are in Six Flags parks that are Batman the Ride, or at least that layout. Some of them are not called that, but let's begin. Number 8 is Batman the Ride at Six Flags Over Texas. Don't worry, I'll make it very clear from here on out which ones are which. So this one is the worst, but I think all of them are great rides. That's important to note. I find this layout to be underrated, and the intensity to be quite strong. Unfortunately, this one is a bit bumpier than the others. I call it the roughest one, and it's a bit slower in terms of pacing. Still great, I love the vertical loop, and the zero G roll especially. At least the first ones. The last part isn't quite as strong as the other ones. Props to decent theming though. Number 7 is Les Vampires at La Ronde. This one is a bit better. It had 1 or 2 headbanging moments for me, but I thought this one was a decent step up, and certainly an excellent ride. I love the inversions, it has the fantastic pacing, and the fact that this is number 7, and they only get better from here, should really speak to how strong this layout really is. Number 6 is Goliath at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. Apart from the name being a bit silly given that there are other Goliaths but none are like the ride this is, I feel this one is strong but has a very weird issue, and that is that this one gives foot numbness more than any other. For those who don't know, the foot numbness is kind of a feeling on an invert when the forces are really pushing your foot, and okay, you may as well have guessed that it just makes your foot feel numb. I don't like that as much as the sensations on the other inverts, so that does hold it back a bit. That said, this is definitely an intense one. It is a solid color scheme, now matched by Montu at Busch Gardens Tampa, and I think the layout continues to be quite strong with this one as well. Number 5 is Batman the Ride at Six Flags St. Louis. Maybe it's because of when I went, but I thought this one felt pretty greased up and it was running quite fast. It had some of the best pacing out of any of them, and it could have ranked way higher. It's pretty close between this and number 4, honestly, closer than the others. And obviously, they're all pretty close overall. But I think in terms of Six Flags St. Louis coasters overall, this is actually my number 2 in the park. So that shows I enjoy it quite a bit. Number 4 is Batman the Ride at Six Flags Great Adventure. Great Adventures now has the best color scheme of them all. Because of the new paint job, it's vibrant, but it still fits with Batman, and I enjoy that quite a lot. I thought this one was way more forceful than the ones before it in terms of how much your face gets pushed back into your seat, and I definitely like that. I think it's still just a very strong layout, and there isn't really anything else to say about this, given that I've been talking about Batman the Ride clones for the last few minutes. But overall, Great Adventures is a bit better than the others because I feel it has better forces. Number 3 is Batman the Ride at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This one, I would say, just for reference, is better than Great Bear at Hershey Park, where the others on the list are not. So of course, everything about the ride here is still strong. You have the vertical loop, you have the least painful corkscrew of probably any of them, and you have the zero G roll and every other inversion. I just think, as I've been saying, the layout continues to be strong. This one honestly feels a bit longer than some of the others, I'm not quite sure why. It just does. But it's definitely one of the most intense, and a pretty strong ride overall. Number 2 is Batman the Ride at Six Flags Great America. The original, and one of the best. It was the original, and that actually means it has the terrain usage that no other does. This ride was built to fit with Great America's terrain. So you get pretty close to the ground, and there are some somewhat marshy areas, and at times it really just feels like, because the ride was built to be like this, you have sort of near-miss elements. And the ride has the strong pacing of all the others, but the fact that it's the first makes it a bit more of a novelty, and I enjoy that a lot. The inversions remain strong. This is the smoothest of them all for sure, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's still one of my favorite coasters at Great America, and that's saying a lot. That said, number 1 is Batman the Ride at Six Flags Over Georgia. Over Georgia's is the most intense. It runs crazy fast. Honestly, I would say to an extent, its intensity is not far off from Montu. It's the strongest in terms of forces, it has the best pacing, and even though I love Great America's, and it's probably the one I would re-ride the most because I like the way the terrain is used, Over Georgia's is just the best Batman the Ride clone. And if you can only get on one, and you want to say, I've done this, I've seen them all, I would probably say Over Georgia's is the way to go if you prioritize thrills above all. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below your ranking of the Batman the Ride clones if you're crazy enough to do that. Subscribe for more theme park content, and stay tuned for tomorrow's Kings Island Night Ride ranking. I'll see you next time.